Hi, everybody. Welcome to Are You Highly Sensitive Live? I'm Elaine Friend, and this is Julie Kuzmario here with you. And we are talking about highly sensitive children, especially about emotional and reactive and empathic sensitive kids and the journey, challenge, and joy of raising them. So I'm in California and Julie's in Montreal in Canada. And so we're bringing our perspectives. I also want to just say that you have young boys and I have a grown boy now, 21, but still quite young. And we were talking about learning. I'll be attending a school meeting this week for a child and talking about, are there learning disabilities? You know, is this, and having some assessment done to see, and a lot of parents are saying, I wonder if there is something wrong. And, you know, if my child has learning challenges. We were talking a little bit before we started recording about dyslexia. And I often feel like I'm dyslexic, or I had some experiences as a young person where I just, even though everyone in my family reads constantly, we are such readers. We love fiction, nonfiction, it doesn't matter. I'm often reading 3 or 4 books at a time, one on my phone, you know, one audiobook, you know, one for bedtime, which is different because it can't have too much going on, right? For unwinding. And then stuff for work. But it's hard. Sometimes I read slowly or I miss something. And I always wondered if I never got tested or anything, but I think I hear that a lot from parents too, that it seems like their grade school children, so, you know, ages 7 to 12 struggle with reading. And then in higher grades that they do their homework too slowly and they get behind and overwhelmed. Sometimes strong reactions, and then they don't want to do the work. And so that always makes me think, is there dyslexia going on? Oh my gosh, I'm having a memory. My family moved in March of 3rd grade when I was 9 years old. Oh my gosh, from a very non-traditional school in a small town in Oklahoma to a traditional elementary school. So 3 different classrooms of 3rd graders. And then the way they did it in our school was low, medium, and high math. It's kind of disappointing it's called that, or that the children knew. But I was I failed the entrance exam. And I was put in low math, and everyone in my family is a mathematician. It's easy for us. And I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't understand how they were doing the math. And I kept making mistakes. And I went home in tears, and my mom called the school and they reassessed me in a less formal, traditional way. And then moved into the high math.
Wow.
And the problem was I had been doing math a few years beyond that. And I didn't really know what they were asking. But also it's another story of dyslexia. So there you had my reactivity, crying, upset, frustrated, hating school for a minute, you know, or a few weeks. So now I recommend that people, if they can possibly afford it, get their highly sensitive children assessed for learning issues.
My kids are actually also we've been fortunate to got picked out of whatever random, in French, it's like a tirage, like a lottery system, you know, to get picked. We really wanted to go to this, my kids go to this, it's a French public alternative school. And people move locations so they can be in the school zone to get into the school if that's what they feel is the fit and they really want it. So we got in. I was like praying and got in, and no school's perfect, right? But I was just having a conversation with my husband, like, are they learning the way they're supposed to learn? Are they getting what they need to learn? What happens when they go to a conventional high school and they have to take exams? Because like you're sharing, your son didn't have exams, they don't have exams. So it's interesting, you know, like just creating this, is there a balance here? And, you know, what works best for your child might not be best for another. And is this best for my child? You know?
And I think if you have young children in school right now and they're highly sensitive, they're paying such close attention that it probably doesn't matter too much what they're learning or how they're being taught if they are able to maintain some kind of not too overstimulated or overwhelmed state. But I just want to say those frustrations in a sensitive child turn into much stronger reactions.
Yeah.
How do we normalize that? And well, I did want to just make my little pitch about dyslexia. Think about how we have deep processing. If you're processing every word or every sentence that you read as you read, then it's going to get your mind going off like that, right? While you're reading or doing your math. And so you're likely to miss the little details. So it's not really called this, they're changing the lingo around dyslexia, but it was called stealth dyslexia. Hard to find, especially in bright children and adults, really hard to find because they're kind of performing okay. So it's not like you go like, oh, that child's dyslexic. It's not like it's hard to do left and right. Although maybe it's the details that they're missing. You know, they leave off they confuse plus and minus, or they leave off a negative symbol before a number, or they just have to decode the words so much more slowly because they're thinking as they read. But the result is dyslexia. And, you know, the frustration and what it means to identify that and to talk to the child about it, that you're thinking while you're reading, that's what's making you slower. That, wow, there's not anything really wrong with you. And they might start to feel ashamed that it's harder for them to read, or they do something more slowly, or they make silly mistakes.
Right.
One of the accommodations at the teenage level is, if that works well for children like this, is if they get to skip the easy homework problems and only do the hard ones. If they don't need the easy ones that are usually review, right? That usually the homework in math starts out with half the problems are review. And then the child becomes so exhausted by the time it's time to do the hard ones that they can't do. Another great accommodation to help take care of some of the frustration that we used a lot, I use it in myself, and my son used it a lot too, is recorded books. So when a child is reading a book for class, you know, how the whole class reads the same book. If you can find out what the title is ahead of time, and then over the winter holidays or the summer holidays, listen to it as a recorded book. So they already know the story. It's not fresh for them when they read the book for class, and then they can participate in reading the book without as much deep processing.
Yeah, amazing.
So, you know, this kind of
dyslexia hacks.
Dyslexia hacks. And, you know, not like official dyslexia hacks, but small ones, right? And I think, gosh, in the summer before 7th or 8th grade, my son had to read that huge book about Michelangelo, The Agony and the Ecstasy.
Okay.
And
which grade? Grade 8?
Before 7 or 8.
Oh, before, okay.
The summer, you know, the summer reading. This huge, massive book. I'm like, forget this. This is going to take us 5 years to read, you know, because another thing that I did a lot was read out loud to him. And, you know, even the books that he was reading for school, we would read them as our nighttime reading. And so, man, I checked the CDs. It was back in the days when there were still CDs on them.
I have some too.
Out of the library, and we listened to them in the car. You know, that whole book. I learned so much. But it was discussed at school. He actually knew the story without all that frustration and exhaustion that leads to emotional reactivity.
Wow.
So I'd love to hear, maybe if you see this on social media, this video, what are your hacks to help your sensitive child learn and, you know, take away that frustration that can create a spiral down into reactivity? How do you normalize it? Do you have any good hacks? How do you help your kids?
I'm figuring it out. They're like, one is in grade 2, the other was in grade 5. My grade 5, he likes to read, but I'm still working out because I was a very different student than they are, you know. So this is the piece of like healing my own expectations and judgments and perceptions around what it means to be a child in elementary school with books and screens and competing influences.
Let's sign off of this video for now, and maybe we'll make another. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thank you.